Well, folks, we're very blessed this morning to have a message from Danielle Sullivan, who's has been a major part of the Reconciliation Action Plan for Wesley Mission Queensland, and she is bringing a message to us today from where she is in New South Wales.
Thank you, Reverend Mel and Reverend Peter, and members of the Albert Street congregation for inviting us to participate again this year as we observe this very important day of mourning for the Church and for both First and Second Nations people. Thank you so much to the members of the Zilmi Uniting Aboriginal and Islander Christian Congress for accepting the invitation to join as one as we reflect and mourn our shared history and the shared hope for togetherness and change. I would like to acknowledge and give thanks to the traditional custodians of the different lands on which everyone worships from today. Today, I am standing on Birrapi country, New South Wales, which stretches from north of Forster-Tuncurry to the south of Kempsey and from the west of Tamworth to the coast. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging of this glorious country. I would like to acknowledge our First Nations leaders joining us today, Auntie Mandy Hegarty, my brothers David Passy and Eddie Celine, and my sister Sono Leone, and also other First Nations people here with us. Welcome. My name is Danielle Sullivan and I'm the Executive Manager, Office of the CEO of Wesley Mission Queensland, and work closely with Eddie Celine, Wesley Mission Queensland's Reconciliation Leader. As Peter and Mel shared with us, as part of the Uniting Church, we as Second Nations people recognise this day annually to lament the effect of the invasion and colonisation of this nation upon her First Peoples and the continued ongoing impact. Last year, Sono Leone and I shared our personal experiences of reconciliation. This year, I wonder how we can all come together in a call for action. As people of faith, as we spread the good news of the gospel, could there be another message we are also called to spread? The message of gentle truth-telling, maybe. I feel we all have a call to action. It is our responsibility to share the truth of colonisation and the over 200 years that followed, that still have an ongoing heartbreaking impact on our First Nations brothers and sisters. How do we as individuals do that? How do we help retrain people's thinking, retrain ingrained biased prejudices? I'm talking about good people, people that are generally really good and do good by each other, but over generations of learning untruths have missed the truth. This is not uncommon and fault only of our governments and leaders for initially hiding this truth and then for continued brushing it aside for the most part. Yes, we have seen some acknowledgement, we have seen some action, but it has never been enough to ensure a systemic shift in thinking as a whole nation. Our First Nations people have been displaced, dispossessed, and oppressed since January 1788, and the impacts are still very much felt today. On the day some call Australia Day, I suggest we as Second Nations people take time to reflect and mourn the great loss and devastation, the atrocities and injustice that followed. Frontier wars, massacres, homes taken, families, culture and language destroyed, slavery and stolen wages, babies and children taken from their mothers, poverty and generational traumas, and it goes on and on today. We as Second Nations people benefit today from this past and truth. In 2022, there is a breath of hope. Over the past few years, there seems to be a shift of more understanding of the truth. However, it is not enough. On this coming Wednesday, some call Australia Day, I urge you to take time to understand the local country you live on. Take time to listen to what our First People are graciously sharing with us. Speak gently with your family, friends, and colleagues of the truth of the past, our shared history and of today, and encourage the spread of this truth. The letter of James 2:14-26. Faith without works is dead. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but do not have works? Can faith save you? If a brother or sister is naked and lacks daily food, and one of you says to them, "Go in peace, keep warm and eat your fill," and yet you do not supply their bodily needs, what is the good of that? So faith by itself, it has no works, it is dead. But someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I by my works will show you my faith. You believe that God is one. You do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. Do you want to be shown, you senseless person, that faith apart from works is barren? Was not our ancestor Abraham justified by works when he offered his son Isaac on the altar? You see that faith was active along with his works, and faith was brought to completion by the works. Thus the scripture was fulfilled that says, Abraham believed God, and it was reckoned to him as righteousness, and he was called the friend of God. You see that a person is justified by works and not by faith alone. Likewise, was not Rahab the prostitute also justified by works when she welcomed the messengers and sent them out by another door? For just as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is also dead.